The Obama administration just announced new rules to protect the nation's drinking water, and hard to believe that would be controversial. Doesn't everybody kind of like and need clean water? Well, apparently not. Critics are calling it a government overreach here. Now, we've seen a lot of that since particularly this president's taken office. Opponents, they've been blasting the administration over everything from obviously health care, but to immigration, to environmental regulations, and the list goes on. It's caused a lot of states to take matters into their own hands, and it's happened with issues like abortion, death penalty, gay marriage, and that's just naming a few. Different states have different rules. Listen, this is a perfect example, Bill, where when it's convenient to my beliefs here, I don't mind it and I like it, okay? But when it's not convenient, it really irks, right? And to me, just something as simple as the death penalty. If you're in Kansas and you do the same thing that right across the line in Nebraska you do, I'm going to be put to death possibly in one place, I'm not going to be put to death in the other. And it just seems the rules can be so divergent. I can be married in one state, but I can't if I'm gay, right? I get states' rights. I understand the bedrock of this country. But then if you put it in the context of in the Depression, in World War II, do you imagine the actions taken by the federal government then and the outcry that would happen now? It seems that we are more 50 different fiefdoms than one United States. And again, I'm only basing it off of 46 years or whatever, than I remember. It just seems so much more polarized, and I don't think it's healthy.
I would go exactly the other way. To me, the most frightening thing in the country is the overreaching federal government. It is a monster. It is a multi-headed monster.
But we have representation, though, in the federal government that every state has a seat at the table in both chambers in the legislative branch.
It's the agencies. They want in on everything. They want to get down to the town level. They want their tentacles into everything. New York State has 750,000 regulations. Do they think New York doesn't have enough regulations? I mean, the federal government comes in and they want to control it all.
Bill is a smart guy.
It's exactly what we didn't want to do when we set this country up.
That's a prescription for unintelligent analysis. Some regulations are bad.
Do you notice how there's always the, like, well, you're a good guy, but here's why you're so wrong.
But you're an idiot.
I only said that about him.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Some regulations are bad and shouldn't be there. Some regulations are good and should be there, and some are missing and should be increased. The number is irrelevant. This is a debate that we settled as a nation during the New Deal. When FDR came in and the country was in collapse, he had the Congress enact a series of laws, most of which were thrown out by the Supreme Court. There was a revolution, a political revolution, in which the Supreme Court learned its lesson, and the large federal role in the economy, including things like civil rights, which is based on the Commerce Clause, not on anything else, became accepted doctrine. The Republican Party wants to undo the New Deal. Put it aside whether they're right or whether they're wrong. States' rights have been a cover for reactionary, pro-corporation, pro-slavery policies since Lincoln and the national government fought and won a civil war.
You're going to hang slavery around my neck?
Somebody has to.
Jesus God.
Well, it's true. States' rights was used as a reason not to do desegregation.
But you know, Andrew, I'm thinking on a more, thankfully we fought some of these fights, and hopefully we're not going to have to refight them. But simple, I mean, things that people don't even talk about, like the TVA, right? Or imagine, we had the Dust Bowl in this country. People forget how, in part, we solved the Dust Bowl. He literally put a row of trees here from basically the border of Mexico all the way up to Canada here. Do you imagine now with the different states wanting to have different rules? We have big problems, and sometimes you need one entity to solve it with different voices at the table and the best way to do it. But by giving 50 different groups, 50 different votes, look at Texas. They believe we're invading them, for Christ's sakes, and now they want to move the gold. I mean, come on.
The basic argument is that the best government is at the local level. The closer it is to the people, the better. The federal government in Washington,
but don't we need big answers to big pictures?
On things like civil rights, I agree. On civil rights issues, yes. But you want government at the most local level you can possibly have it, where it's responsive to people.
Where a state like Illinois
before they run out of time.
Pollute New York and there's nothing the New York State can do about it? You don't think there's a federal law for
We're
that?
having trouble with our day-to-day right now. Imagine if we had a crisis on the scale of the Great Depression or World War II. I'm not really sure the country could get itself through that, given where we are.
I'm not sure we'll survive the federal government.
And on that consensus, when we come back here, gentlemen, thank you very much. Andrew, very interesting conversation earlier today about the country going to pot. No, I'm not talking about the last fight we had, but more and more states are looking to legalize marijuana as now more people, if you believe the polls, support it than oppose it. We're going to talk to a guy who wrote the book on marijuana and ask him where this is all headed.